When you guys look at this picture, what's the first thing that comes into your mind?
Fluffy.
How cute is bunny, or oh, I love bunnies. Unfortunately for me, the first thing that pops into my mind is how most recently ASU has been conducting experimentations on bunnies by putting holes into their chests. According to PETA.org, countless of helpless animals have been the main experiment at ASU physiology and biology classrooms. Today, I'll explain to you how animal testing for cosmetic and medical purposes is unnecessary and avoidable. Since I became a PETA member when I was 12, I have been researching how cruel animal testing has become. I'm sure that most of you guys at home have several items that have been tested on animals. Today, I want to explain to you what animal testing is and how for cosmetic purposes and medical purposes it's avoidable and unnecessary. Many of you might already have an idea of what animal testing is, but for those of you that do not know what it is, I'd like to explain that concept to you. According to NatureCare.com, animal testing, also known as animal research, is the use of non-human animals in scientific research. Today, animal testing is conducted on animals as small as fruit flies to as big as non-human primates. NatureCare.com states that every year millions of animals such as cats, dogs, sheep, monkeys, mice, rats, and chimpanzees are subject to both physical and mental harm. For cosmetic purposes, animal testing is conducted to supposedly test how safe their products would be on a human. And then for medical purposes, they test to supposedly create beneficial cures, drugs, and treatments. So far, I have explained to you what animal testing is and the alleged purposes for it. I would now like to explain to you why we shouldn't test for cosmetic purposes and why it is unnecessary. The alleged reasons why companies test their products on animals is because they claim they need to test their safety of their products. IDAUSA.org states that animals are forced to ingest harmful poisons through the stomach tubes, injections, inhalants, which results in vomiting, convulsions, paralysis, and bleeding from all places imaginable. Surprisingly, the FDA does not require animal testing as a way to test products. If this is so, then what is the purpose of putting animals through such horrendous pain? On top of this, IDAUSA also states that the tests don't measure how harmful they would be on humans. In fact, it just tests how harmful it was on the animal that was tested. This means that the tests end up being unreliable, and since the FDA doesn't even require it, it's completely unnecessary. Now that I've explained to you why we shouldn't test for cosmetic purposes, I'd like to lastly explain to you why we shouldn't use it for medical research either. To understand why you shouldn't test cosmetic products on animals, I would lastly like to now that I've explained to you why we shouldn't test cosmetic products on animals, I would lastly like to explain to you why we don't need to do it for medical research. To understand why we shouldn't use animals for medical research, you first have to understand how different we are from the animals we test on. PETA.org states that unlike rats, we have gallbladders. Unlike cats, we have enzymes in our bodies that can break down ibuprofen. And unlike dogs, our circulatory system is different since they walk on all fours and we only walk on two legs. Since we are so different from the animals they do medical research on, the results will be unreliable. In fact, according to PETA.org, drugs and procedures that have passed animal testing end up harming or killing humans 61% of the time. With stakes that high and unreliable results, why should we even continue testing on animals? Today, I have briefly explained to you what animal testing is and have given you reasons as to why we shouldn't test on animals, for cosmetic purposes or medical reasons. PETA.org states that the most surprising fact is that there is other options that do not end up killing or harming millions of animals. And here's a picture of a bunny with its stomach cut open. Yeah, for medical research, right? Other options that we have is we can do cultures, like on tissue, and we can test products on that. We can do medical research on that, and it's less costly than buying animals and killing them. As you can see, it is inhumane, cruel, and most likely end up with faulty results. Aside from the reasons, I now hope that you guys are able to realize that animal testing is unnecessary and in fact avoidable.
Let it stay over. There it goes. Is there any water right there? No.
All right, the visual's okay as an attention device. You ID your topic very clearly. There's a good preview of what the content's going to be, and your internal structure is easy to follow. You cite the source that you're using. We're going to talk about some of this stuff in more detail when we get to the next assignment, because this is really a persuasive speech more than it is an informative speech or a demonstration speech. We'll talk about evaluating the information in more detail. But you cited the information appropriately in the speech. The presentation factors, your posture is pretty confident. You're stepping forward okay, but you do stay pretty much in that one spot. There are a few indicators while you're speaking. Part of it is that you're limited because of the size of the pages that you're using for your notes. I thought your facial expressions were actually pretty animated. You look up regularly, but you are script dependent, and you also tend to be focused on the center of the room. The script in your hand is a little problematic because it kind of locks in your hands. You have to think about gesturing instead of it being a natural sort of thing, and it's another place where you tend to look because it's right in front of you. I thought your voice projected pretty well. I didn't notice any obvious issues about pronunciation. Maybe a little bit more variety and pitch would be okay. There were a couple of places where it seemed like it was kind of a sing-song sort of thing because you're doing reading and you're going through sentences, and it doesn't sound natural like you're talking to us. It just sounds like you're going through this section of material. But that wasn't all of the time, just in a few particular spots. I thought that the content of the speech was pretty well prepared. The presentation probably needed one or two more practice things to give you a little more confidence when you're speaking there. All right, thank you.